Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Deceptilab. This your boy Freeze with the weekly live stream, and today we got some good topics today, honestly. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the new user interface, the UI that Transformers Earth Wars introduced yesterday, and I actually need to set up my live account because some features up there that I want to look at that actually look better than they do on the test server. So we're going to look at that, and obviously, if you saw the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about the new G1 cores. There have been some modifications to them since they first got introduced, so we'll be talking about those as well. And so I can't do any play testing on them yet, but I can actually look at what I know about HQ18 Phase 3 so far. So it should be a pretty good stream. I've been looking forward to it all day. But before we get into any of that, let's get into the newsletter. All right, so this week's event, it is called Power Moves, and let me set it up so I can actually interact with it. All right, so week 3 of the saga, and this week is going to be another individual event. This saga is actually loaded with individual events, so that's cool. Um, so let's see. So not a bad event. So it says you get 50 power move crystals, each with a chance to drop a captain, sergeant, or corporal rank item, and 5-star shards, which I need those. I'm almost there to getting a 5-star, so that'll be good. 50 of your ruination and God Neptune crystals, 50k your premium character shards, 5k 3-star shards, 2.5k 4-star shards, and then on top of that you got 250k spark, and then 500k combiner spark. So yeah, and I know a lot of people were kind of skeptical because Space Ape put the event that had the rank skips, they put it on hold. So a lot of people were kind of skeptical about it for a second, but they came right back the following week. They said they made it a little bit slightly harder event. So that's what we're looking at. So and I kind of agree with what they did, because if you look at the Cyber Pass, they had the Cyber Pass that had rank skips in it. So now here they got chance crystals that you might get one of these rank skip items, or you might get 5-star shards, 15% at those, 15% chance at 5-star combat shards. I mean, it's good prizes coming out of those crystals no matter what, you know. And they got different denominations, so 15% at either 50, 25, or 10 of your 5-star shards or combat shards. That'll motivate you to play an individual event. Just to be honest with you, the last two, I kind of. So the first one of the saga, I did most of it, and like the last hour. Last week I didn't do it any at all. I wanted to make more content, but I didn't actually get to do it because, um, it's tournament season for the NCAA. So I was actually at the Mid Eastern Atlantic Conference tournament. But and this weekend I'll be at the actual NCAA tournament. So go Heels, North Carolina Tar Heel fan here, and so me and my sons will be doing that. But outside of that, you get your typical battle zones. As most of you know, the new user interface is out. They did kind of like a slow rollout because I know a lot of people were saying, "Hey, I got the new UI," and I was like, "Oh, I don't have it yet." And then they kind of fed it in batches, and they're still looking for feedback, guys. So if you're on Discord, make sure that you go give them the feedback. They added a new UI channel in there for some of the concerns that people have. I'll talk about some of those in a little bit, but just know that that's an option that's available to you. All right, let's see. We also got they got the Cyber Pass up there, like I mentioned. That's got the rank skips. Pretty good skin. Excuse me, pretty good skin there for SG Warpath. Yeah, the Quellagon one's all right. Check out your content creators as always. Your official ones: Engineer Horst, myself, Soldier, and Sunstreaker Waza. And yeah, so this is a good event, man. 50K is a little bit different. I hadn't seen anything about the combats. I know people have been asking me about the combats, but that event is in 2 weeks. I haven't seen them yet. So, and then obviously the following week is well, this week's the 50K. There's going to be a 50K for the combats, and then there's also going to be in between that 10K Easter event. I kind of like the saga schedule the way they did this one. It's not bad. A lot of individual events. I would have liked to have seen individuals before the endurance, but some of these events are getting some larger ones, but they're not overly large. You can just kind of play and get what you get, so it's not too much stress to play. Let's see. So let's look at community corner. Okay, so this is this is actually hilarious. And there's a story behind this. I'm not sure if I'm gonna share it or not yet, but I'll probably share it in a little while. But one of my teammates, Skunkster42, made this. He made Beach Karen, and he even made changed the tooltip on it. And honestly, it's hilarious. I can't read it on there, so let me actually pull it up on my phone, and I can read it on it because. And let's see. So I was looking at the tooltip, and the tooltip says when Beach Karen loses a battle, he immediately contacts Space 8 management and nerfs you. If Beach Karen wins against you, it's working as intended. If you don't like if you don't like Beach Karen, play another game. And so it just made like a bunch of different references of just about random space ape stuff. I think it's hilarious. So I'm glad to see that was on there this week. Several bug fixes and improvements. Acid Crimzik was adding increased damage to the HQ, so that's going to be fixed tomorrow. Ariel and Scylla had an issue with Scylla being immortal during a war attack. That's been fixed, and that should come out with a patch update tomorrow. So there's a big. So the community corner post that we were just looking at, this is what it's talking about. So they were saying Beachcomber's cheer bug was going to be fixed. So I've been hearing a bunch of different things. I'm still working on my deluge, so I hadn't actually seen some of the bugs that people were talking about. I heard everything from the radius was way too large to um, just a couple of different things that were going on with it. And so what wound up happening is I don't know how many of you were on Discord today. There's a lot of talk about the Unicron tournament and just different tactics people were using. I'll talk about it a little bit more in a bit, but that's kind of where that came from. Is that we were using Deluge and Beachcomber on defense, and folks were saying that hey man, they're exploiting the bug, which totally wasn't the case. I didn't even see it on any of the replays, but that's what we had going on, and that's kind of where that came from. That joke in the community corner. Let's see, Star Saber and Deathsaurus. It said Victory Leo and Tiger Chess had some targeting issues. That's been fixed. Space Ape is going to be on their team stream next week, and that's all we get for the news for this week. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the chat. So we'll switch over to it. And I'm gonna put that on the battlefield real quick. But obviously, we know we're gonna talk about the G1s today. So I got the G1, the bots that are gonna get G1 cores on the screen. And where's my chat? There goes my chat. All right, so it looks like Kristen Jones was first in the chat today. Thanks for joining, Kristen. My good friend Candyman is in there. Says says you win some free candy, Kristen, for joining. Let's see. So we've got Andrew Stevenson. Thanks for joining. My good friend, moderator, and fellow content creator, Big Blade. Thank you for joining, buddy. And let's see who else we got. We got another good friend and content creator and moderator, Mercenary Terror. He wears all hats. Michael Cooper's with us again. Thanks for joining. Philip Martin is joining us today. Thank you for joining, Philip. I see Sunstrike is in the chat. Says he can't wait to see the new G1s in action. And so yeah, just sit tight, buddy, because we're gonna definitely show that. And thank you for joining as well. This thing just glitched on me a little bit. Let's see. Big Blade wants to know if Sam Storm's any good. So you know what? I think it is. So I'm gonna show it and I'm gonna talk about it. But I like let's be honest. And I know you're saying that the ones that got shown last week, because I didn't stream last week, but I know Waza did. And to be honest with you, I'm for the most part I'm pretty comfortable with where the G1 cores are at. Each one of them has positives and negatives in my standpoint right now. But we're going to talk about it. Overall, I think they're in good shape, and we'll talk about it in a minute. Good friend and moderator and member Chris Harmon is in the chat. Thanks for joining, Chris. My playtest friend King Grimlock is in here. Thanks for joining, KG. Let's see. Good buddy LJ Gav is in the chat. Thank you for joining, LJ. We got Carnage is with us today. Thanks for joining, as well as the homie J Funk. And well, you can't keep nothing. You can't keep no secrets with J Funk around. J Funk said, yeah, they were definitely with some Discord drama today. But I mean, is it actually TFEW Discord if it's not any drama involved? So it is what it is. And Big Joe's in the chat. It says it's his 45th birthday today. So shout out to Big Joe for that. Everybody make sure you wish Joe a happy birthday. Let's see. KG says that Blot should be last. Yeah, we probably can arrange that. I don't. Nah, you know what? I don't know if I feel comfortable with him being last, man. If there's one of them that I didn't care for that much, it was probably his. But I probably need to play with it more too. So, uh, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, congrats to Big Blade. Big Blade got 5-star impact. I think it was last week, so that was cool. Hey, J Funk said, "What am I smoking to make that colorful smoke?" I'm assuming you talking about on the screen for the newsletter. That's cool, man. I found that online, so I can't do that kind of smoking yet. Candyman asked if the Quellagon skin is still broken. Last I checked, I saw something yesterday or the day before, and it still was flipping out. Everybody's talking about Beach Karen. Hey, good homie, Ripping Griffiths in there. Thanks for joining. I see the Horde is all representing in here tonight. And then let's see. And then I see Lou Mega is with us again. So thanks for joining, Lou. So yeah, man, good stuff all planned today, man. So I want to, and actually I want to switch over to my live account. So give me a second to do that because I got the test server up right now, and I don't want to use it. I want to use my live account because I want to take a look at this UI. So let me get that situated. I actually use that on two different platforms. I use the OBS Studio for my test account, and then I use a completely different thing for my. I actually mirror my live account. So let me know in the chat, what do you think about the new UI so far? I saw some comments in there, and honestly, yesterday on Discord, I saw a lot of negative feedback about the UI, which me personally, I didn't understand. I'll tell you guys what I thought about the UI. I mean, obviously, I had seen it before. What tripped me out is it surprised me that so many people, we watched this thing on live streams. We watched it on Space Ape Stream. I'm pretty sure Waza had talked about it, stuff like that. I don't think I actually showed it on here because I wasn't here last week. But overall, I like it. I'm actually gonna pull up my notes so I can tell you specifically what notes I took about this today. Because so this is my live account, and I see the comments are already coming in. So I'll keep letting you guys talk about the comments and stuff like that. Um, but a lot of stuff, a lot of comments, I can already tell you are about the size of different items. So some of the things that people are worried about. So I saw comments that were saying that the buttons themselves were too small, and honestly, I didn't really have a problem like all these buttons they were saying were too small. So a lot of people were frustrated with that. I don't have excuse me. I didn't have a particular problem with it just because I I'm really really good with distances and stuff like that. So none of that bothered me. Here you can actually see the new icons and they actually got new bios. And I like the new bio screen. Now, one of the complaints that I did see when you look at these bios is that, like, if you want to switch bots around, then one of the problems that people were saying is that they felt like that area that you were using those arrows to kind of navigate right next to the bot picture. They were saying that they didn't really like that area. They preferred it being on the left or the right of the device, which I kind of agree with, just because um, for me, my thumb naturally sits right over top of that arrow when I'm using my phone. So for me, it's kind of awkward if I want to shift through that way. But I do like that we got lots of room for tooltips. Um, and tooltips have become, there's a lot to add to them now. It's a lot more extensive for the information that you're putting in tooltips these days. So I definitely like that you just leave all that space for you to have tooltips, so you don't have to feel like you have to scamp out on information. Um, you can put all the stuff that you want, that you need to put in there, just to make sure the players understand what the bot does or what the combat does or whatever it may be. And I see Trax joined the chat. Thanks for joining, Trax. And that's actually a good point that Trax is making. A lot of people are complaining about how small the icons are for phones. Now, if somebody is using playing the game like on like a computer, a tablet, something like that, it seems like it might not be as much as a problem for them. So that is a valid point. I think I got a iPhone. I got like an iPhone like 13 or something that I play the game on. And then on my test server, I either play on the same phone or because I'm a content creator on BlueStacks. So um, playing it on the BlueStacks version, I'm not bothered by it at all, other than the fact that you guys all know that I can't play the game very well using the mouse. But outside of that, from a UI standpoint, seems pretty solid. Um, so I'm gonna go over the list of some of the common complaints, and we'll actually take a look. And so a lot of people were just saying they just didn't like the boxy look of the UI. Um, I'll be honest, I'm not really bothered by it either way. Um, I'm an efficient type of guy, and I love the fact that this thing is fast, man. Like, so when you just go through, and I'll actually do a battle, I actually do a war attack while I'm out here. And this is how I know that this thing is fast because there was at one point in time, because I'm mirroring directly from my phone, um, everything was always really, really sluggish. In this new UI, it actually works really, really fast. So I think there's something to that. But one of the highlights, one of the most favorite things for me about this UI is that this war screen is beautiful. Like I love this. And on the old UI, like so here you can go to each base and it'll just have a list of the replays on the side. I think that's awesome just because just because I think a lot of people didn't realize that you could just tap on the little triangle and go scroll through all the players that whether they won or lost. But on top of that, it's much larger. It's much larger for you to go in there and be able to select the replay. So like you can actually see, I can go in there and pick my replay. You can see where I won base one. Is J Funk still in there? I'm about to talk about you. No, but yeah, that's awesome. And so yeah, I'm really really in love with that war screen. So I actually hit a war attempt while I'm on here. We got Hellraiser, the G1 Sentinels. Oh man, that hard battle button actually is kind of small. And I'm gonna go in here blind, and I think I'm gonna go in here blind without a binder. So wish me luck. But I just like the speeds on this thing, man. Like the loading's faster, everything's faster. But then we got these tiny icons, man. Like these icons for the defenses are just so so small. And when we were talking about it in playtest, I said to them, "Look, man, the crowd that you're catering to, most of us are 40-something-year-old men. Everybody eyesight not what it once was. Like I'm like, bro, like you got to make this a decent size." And the plan is for them to do something with it later on, but they wanted to go ahead and get the UI pushed. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm just really not sure. I just don't like the idea of just not being able to see, because most of what we're dealing with these days, most of what we're dealing with is avoiding power cores. So I don't really like that. They say they might make something. I think that what they should do is just go into the menus and let you get something, let you get make your choice, because some players like these tiny icons. Me personally, oh yeah, that's gonna be a loss because I'm about to get hacked. Yeah, I should have bought a combiner for this one. But yeah, I just feel like with the icon size, like I like mine's larger, but there's a lot of people who like theirs really, really small. And I get it, right? Like if you people want to see what it is they're fighting against in a lot of cases. And so a lot of people's like, no, they want to see the defense. They don't want to see the icons. I want to see the icons because as you can see, I play with my icons on. And I just don't like having the icons too tiny. Yeah, that's kind of tough. I was gonna see if I could do my no combiner thing today, but nah, not with that style of base. I probably ain't gonna be able to pull it off. But yeah, yeah, I just don't like the size of those icons, man. Yeah, I have to go back and do that with combiners, but yeah, big blades like you're screwed. And I see Soldier joined the chat. Thanks for joining. So, but like even screens like this, man, like just going through all that stuff and going through there faster. Um, yeah, I really like that a lot. Hey, let me look at the comments to see what everybody thinks about the UI. Let's see. Yeah, so Big Blade says they still got some bug fixes coming. So yeah, and they're aware of that, and I think they're gonna work a lot of that stuff, hopefully quickly. And I see the homie Motivator jumped in. Thanks for joining, Motor. Let's see. Oh man, so Trax out of all people, man, like one of the better players in the game. He got said everybody in his alliance got the UI, but he didn't get it yet. So some of my teammates were saying that if you actually like, and I don't know what kind of device you use. I use iPhone, and it didn't auto update. I had to go in there and actually look at it. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. Yeah, Big Blade was saying use run him up to stun immune when I was on that attack. Well, I was waiting for to get the FFD down, so let's see. So RH says the new interface is killing my eyes. Yeah, Trax says he switched the icons back and forth, so he knows what you prime cores. Other than that, he don't really care. Now, for me, it's just the way that I think. So for me, I don't like. I like to just see them. I don't cut them back off. I like to just see the icons. So because it's for me, I get overloaded. You know, I get from a cognitive load standpoint really easily. So I don't want to have to think, hey, where was that? Or think, hey, I need to go push this so I can see if I'm in range. Like I just want to just see the what I, all those cores, because mostly what you're fighting up against is power cores anyway. So we'll see how that goes. Some people saying they should make a slider, or even when you zoom in, you know, they actually look smaller when you zoom in, so it's really backwards. Track said Texas gonna kick me out of the horde for losing. Nah, man, I'm good. As like I'll go back in there. I wanted to try to go get my no combiner thing, but against NAG1, against any G1 alliance, man. Like it gets tougher than that. So I'll just come back. I'll use a combiner, not get hacked, and I should be able to take care of that pretty easily. Yo, Joe said how you can be named Tex when you're British. He's Australian, not British. I think it's a baseball thing though, because he's a Texas Rangers fan. So, but yeah, but I'm just looking at some of the other things that the key complaints that I saw on Discord. So one of them was the dispatch missions, and so I think I got dispatch that I done. Yeah, I got one that's done. So a lot of people didn't like the colors for the dispatch missions just because, like as you can see, I completed this one. It's yellow, but the ones that are in progress are green. People actually wanted that flip flop. I saw that a lot. Another thing I saw was that when you go look at some of the names, depending on what kind of they had in the Unicode symbols and stuff like that, right now it's not able to read that. And so a lot of times what you'll see, trying to see who has some up here, they'll just have like these random squares, so you won't actually know the player's name. So they got stuff that's one of the big complaints. Personally, I just like to use standard letters for everything. Like I actually hate I hate it more on the line app than the actual in game because you try to go search for somebody and you can't do it because they got the Unicode symbols up there. Um, but yeah, my biggest complaint was really just the icon size. I want that to be a different size, and you know, and then I'll be good from there. Oh, one of the best features though, I really like what they did with the space bridge. So now if you say you open up to 10, and so it's up to 10, so I don't have to have 10. So like normal, you can do I got 11 of these. I can open 10 of them, but I can also so say I want to open up. Ooh, that's small. They need to fix that. If I want to open up like these total spark crystals, and there's 7 of them, I can actually open those 7, and so I can just kind of quickly open. So the UI is all about efficiency. I really like it. Um, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and I see where Big Joe said he requested a search in the rankings. That would be cool because there's times where I'm looking for a certain alliance for whatever reason and I can't find them, so it becomes a little bit annoying. All right, so let's see. I want to switch over to the test server, so give me a second to do that. Actually, I'm wrong. I need to get to the test server on this screen. And we'll flip back over to the test server, and we are going to talk about these G1s. So just give me a second to get rid of my live account. Actually, I had a picture up here that I wanted to. Actually, let me add something real quick. Give me a second. And I'm still here. Let me put the camera back on. I'm trying to add a graphic. And just bear with me real quick. I actually can't find this thing, so I might have to skip that for now. Alright, so I didn't set that up. Alright, we'll just go back to the battlefield then. Alright, so people are asking who I'm going to do first. So let's see. Let me pull up my team. All right, so let's see. So let's say who are we doing first? Merc Terrier asked if I was doing Dirtbag and Grapple. Yeah, I'd probably do that. And I don't know why I just went straight into the game, but I actually wanted to look at the core first and talk about it first. But I will say this. I actually like what they did with Dirtbag, and I know there's only a handful of players I know who actually really like this dude. Um, I will say that the players who really like Dirtbag were not impressed by this core, not even in the slightest. And the reason for that is most of them wanted to see more health for Dirtbag. Now, when I look at him, I say, hey man, he's a support type bot, and he does some really cool stuff, man. Like when I really enjoyed playing with Dirtbag to try to test this core. But what you can see here is, and they got to go in there and add the values um, for what this, because it's going to add an additional mine as part of that G1 part of that ability. So one thing I really like when you're talking about G1 cores, particularly for special class bots, is special class bots don't really have a lot of ways for you to add to their special ability unless it's in the G1 core. So anytime it's a special class bot, the first thing I look at and say, all right, what's the ability increase? Because if you don't do that, it's gonna stagnate. So they give them at a maxed out G metal 20.5% increase in ability damage. So that takes them up with a decent chunk. Like that mine when it explodes does with this G1 does about almost 6.9k. So it's also going to have another mine that's going to appear, and it's going to do the same thing. You know, that mine, his ability is to attract foes. It's going to absorb some of that damage received, and it prevents his normal ability, it prevents healing. So something you can definitely use in the current meta. um Now, we'll say Dirtbag's ability is expensive just because it's going to protect your whole squad, and it's going to have a little anti-heal, or it's going to negate healing. But then it does a nice little bit of damage there at the end too, so let's take a look at it. Now, like I said, the changes that they made have been relatively minor. And Carnage has a good point, and I actually thought about that too, Carnage. But um, he says that Dirtbag's G1 core should actually be an ability 11 because that's what it really is. And to your point, what I was thinking in my head earlier today is that, and so you can see he drops that mine. They say right at his feet, but it's a good distance in front of him. And then you can go add your own mine using the actual ability. So you're basically getting an ability use for free. And then you get some anti-heal there as well. So it's not bad. I think that most most dirtbag fans, dirtbag and grapple fans, wanted to see something added to his health. But he is a support type bot. So what I want to see is I'd like to see him get an ability 11, and I'd like to see what his health looks like if he ever got a 5-star version. But then he's got to actually be desired first. So then they probably have to do a massive rework and stuff like that for him. But he does a great job at what he does. He's only got like 23k health or something like that. I think I was looking at earlier. So he's saying, and Big Joe saying, so every 10Ks. every 10 seconds, 2k damage. I mean, yeah, so damage was, and that's what I'm saying. When I look at him like, yeah, yeah, it's gonna be like 2k damage, but it's just gonna be something that's really just gonna be used more as a decoy, something to use for support, and it's decoys you don't have to pay for. So if you're one of those players that likes that style of play with a lot of support bots, it'll get it done. But honestly, he's not used that much, so it is what it is. But I did find a new appreciation for him when I was testing this core out. Hey, and I see Joker joined the chat. Thanks for joining, Joker. And then Daniel Evans said, "Dang, your bot's a strong 6K." So no, I got So this is on my test account. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have bots on my live account that are really, really strong. In this case, I max most stuff out on the test server just because that's what people are going to be interested in. So yeah, it's not I just get to add whatever resources I want to these guys. So I was getting them ready for the stream, over the last couple of days. But overall, it's pretty good. I actually, because I want to help with survivability, I actually stuck that fire glide that's interacts for you guys on the Autobot side. Um, which when I'm using somebody that actually provides healing, well, it actually keeps them alive for a lot longer. So I like that a lot. But yeah, to answer your question, Big Blade, yes, the mines do attract, and that applies to his G1 mines as well. So they got kind of like a taunt going on. All right, so let's see. Let's talk about Blot and Rook for you guys on the Autobot side. Now for Blot, his G1, um, so it's going to restore some health, 3% every 5 seconds. So that's pretty good. And to make a comparison, when you look at that, it's the exact same rejuvenate 3% every 5 seconds. Now a lot of people would use it with my Cronus, and that's 2.4%. But you also can spread that around to your allies. So Blot's G1 core, the health part, absolutely cool with it. It does what a rejuvenate core does, and then a lot of times with the G1 cores, it's always going to be a secondary ability going on, and so in this case, the explosive decoy is now going to reflect 50% of the damage it takes. That part I'm not absolutely sold on yet. So let's take a look at that. The reflection, and the only reason why, if they had if they had taken that 50% reflection and they gave it to Nightbird and RC, I would have been cool. If they would have done that to any other hologram or anything like that, if they would have did that to Dirtbag, I'd have been cool. But when they do this to Blot, the one thing that I feel like makes Blot really unique compared to other bots like that, where you're using like a hologram or something like that, is Blot does damage. So what that means is it's gonna take longer for that damage to occur. But it is interesting to look at. Let me take the icons down. And you can see that everything that's attacking them, it's losing a little bit of health. But it just means it takes so much longer for that hologram to die. Now, meanwhile, Blot's regenerating, so that's cool. And then he probably will regenerate even more if you got a healer with you, if you got, anything, any kind of healing source. But it takes a long time for that decoy to die, which could be good because you can see Because it took so long for the decoy to die there, he actually popped another outpost. But he's not going to get to that damage as quickly. And that's the part I honestly don't like. But at the same time, there have been times when I was using Blot on my war team where that hologram died so quickly that I couldn't get an outpost popped. It wouldn't survive the animations of a combiner or something like that. So it is going to help in that regard. So it's a polarizing feature depending on what it is that you're using it for. I know a lot of players that are earlier in the game, younger in the game, want that damage aspect, but I would like it to survive the animations that come with the combiner. So I think it's going to be cool in that regard. Let's see. King Grimlock says he doesn't think that it takes longer. Dude, like, I'll be honest with you. I might actually try it again. And that sucks. I gotta wait for the game to log back in. But and I didn't time it. Like, I wanted to actually sit down with the clock on the same basis and just time it because, well, but then I don't got the old version. Well, I can do it without the G1 and see how that works. But yeah, it just seemed like it was taking too long. But like I said, the one time I'm really gonna be happy with that is when I'm facing the combiner and I want it to last long enough. Like in that battle that I did on my live server, I could have went and did that with Blot with this G1 if it was on the live server, and I'd have easily just had that hack go directly to that hollow. So all right, so who do we want to look at next, guys? All right, I'm gonna take a look at Straxus. Now, this is another one that when I talked to people that were fans of Straxus and Sludge, a lot of people that I talked to that were fans of those bots did not like this one. And I keep going to the game and not actually looking at the G1 first. Yeah, no, and I got what you're saying, KG, about absorption and reflection definitely work differently. We actually had a long conversation about that in playtest, like what was it, like 2 weeks ago? So yeah, they definitely behave differently. Um, I was speaking more about the concepts of how those kind of abilities work, just for the concept of just shielding. So for Straxus and Sludge, excuse me. So I'm gonna make a comparison real quick. So we're gonna compare this Wallbuster Core. So Wallbuster Core's 56% increase on the max G level, or max G metal for a Wallbuster Core. So you're gonna start off with that is the basis for Straxus and Sludge, just because nobody wants to lose their Wallbust, and that's what it does well. So on top of that, what they did is for each wall you destroy by the seismic charge, it's going to increase. And they need to fix that. That says Sludge. This is Straxus. So I'm glad I caught that when I was reading it out loud. I'll go let the apes know they need to change that. Um, so for each wall that Straxus destroys, when using the seismic charge, it's going to increase the health by 4% for 3 seconds. So that's the part that I'm struggling with. It's the it's the time. Well, no, actually, they took. I believe if I was remember, KG, you in there, so let me know. I believe they said that that's going to be permanent. That's not going to be for 3 seconds, because that would actually be trash. Um, Now it's stackable up to 10 times, so it'll stackable up to 10. So that's how that's going to work. So now I kind of see now why people weren't overly impressed by it. I mean, you get a little tiny bit of a bump along with the wall buster core. But I guess my question is like, what do you do with with Straxus? Um, and some of the things that we were talking about when they first introduced the cores is it's like, look, man, like nobody's really using walls to like keep people away from anything. They kind of use them for defensive path and yeah, and King Grimlock confirmed that yeah, that is permanent now, and that's something they gotta adjust the tooltip for it, but they did talk to us about it in playtest. Candyman says Straxus and yawns. So this is one like when I first looked at it, I was like, yeah, that's cool, and then I looked at it more, and I was just like, it's all right. But I really don't know what you do to just make them better. And then when like I was talking to some of my playtest buddies, and we got into this whole argument about whether you consider him a tank or not because he doesn't have like aggro and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, like don't let any of this distract you away from from the fact that the core is just I. Yeah, and Sunstrike kind of said the same thing I was saying, that the problem that he was designed to solve no longer exists. Like you're not just using walls that way anymore. And every time you talk about a wall buster, the conversation always comes up about making walls stronger. Because when you look at, you know, man, almost 40K, and then they're everywhere. But then you know your bots are just kind of pounding away at, what was a point in time when they were just pounding away at walls. Now it's just like they're just almost non-existent. So all right, so let's go back in. We'll go back in and we will take a look at Scavenger. Now I think they overclocked Scavenger a little bit, um, from what one of my other testers was saying. I mean, I did use it today, but I didn't get to look at it really, really hard like I did for some of the other ones. But once again, when you get a special class bot, you always want to have an ability increase somewhere in that G1. So with Scavenger and Rustus, they're giving you a 15.5%. Um, I'm not sure if that moves the needle for me in regards to the damage itself. Um, but it is an interesting secondary ability that the G1 core has, and it's its enemies destroyed by the ability increase. And once again, they got Rust Dust name up there. So Scavenger's attack damage. So if the enemies are destroyed, then you're going to increase the attack damage by 1% for 10 seconds. And that's going to stack, and that's stackable. So the more you destroy, the more you're going to have your attack damage go up. So it's interesting, and I like to see that they are making more stackable stuff. But for me, what I would do is I would probably pick on some softer targets, or probably use it in some combos. But then, even with that, like his normal attack damage is gonna be like I. And it's kind of, and Big Blade actually made the point that I was gonna make for Scavenger and Rustus. Yeah, if you combo it with acid or something like that, then you're talking about something that's nasty. So I actually, for that reason, went in there and put Fracas on him. That's Nightstick for you guys on the Autobot side. to kind of get them going. And then that'll also kind of help them. That'll also kind of help them kick in that stackable ability for those couple of seconds. So for those 10 seconds, he really does put in that work once he destroys something. So I do like that. And especially if you can get that 10 seconds to line up with the fact that I got Fracas getting those, what is it, 200% burst. You go add that in there and you got something special. Plus he's gonna heal at a really good rate. So one of the things I was talking about, I was actually working on my little guide that I'm building about Transformers Earth Wars. I was making like a little ebook, and one of the things I was talking about was building your bag. And what I mean by that is building your bag of tricks and building just different skills and different combinations that you use for different situations. And this is something I would actually use under the right circumstances. And I know a lot of for a little while when Skids had just came out, it was like Skids and Knockout. A lot of people were just using these guys together, but I was like, I gotta get them to like adjust the damage. I think on this, but I would use this just because it does actually, if you, when using the correct uh, combat pairing, will actually address his health. So, yeah, so that's what we're looking at there. And then I want to take a look at. Now, I know Big Blade been waiting. Let's take a look uh, at Octane. Octane, because Mercenary Terror is listening. Octone, as they got him in Transformers Earth Wars and Sandstorm. So, because he's a triple changer, they gave you the opportunity to kind of pick your poison. Um, I mean that literally and figuratively. So, you have two different cores you can use. So on the first one we're going to look at is going to be your toxic for your ability is going to work for your toxic rush, because obviously you have supplied airdrop also. So triple changer, once again, one of those bot classes where you gotta boost up the special ability, right? So this is gonna give you a 15.5% boost, and it's going to add an acid bullet. It's going to deal 1.1% of the bot's DPS over 3 seconds. So what I decided to do is I actually decided to combine this with the Cosmic Rust Blaster, and kind of use that as another way to just kind of enhance, get the most I can out of that ability. And the big thing is, and Big Blade and I had a conversation about this last week. This is one of his favorite bots in the game, if not favorite bot in the game. And the thing is, he was talking about the cores and how they compare to other cores. So like he likes to use Alchemist as one of the cores that he uses on them. Now for me, and it's really playstyle dependent, and this is why I always encourage everybody to find stuff that you like to use. Like for me, Alchemist is something that I try to put on my gunners, stuff like that, to try to enhance them. I just couldn't see myself using a rush in type. But we had the conversation about it. I understand why he does it. But then I started looking, I said, man, this is a combo machine. So like if I go in there and I stick Cosmic Rust Cannon on him, he's already got acid going. He's already got he's got that 40% shield. And now suddenly this is a bot that's been sitting on my shelf for a while. And with this G1, with this toxic G1, from an attack standpoint, this is 100% something I would use. Then if I let him sit around that time that he's getting shielded, I can go use that acid, top it, top it off with the Cosmic Rust Cannon or Cosmic Rust Blaster, and kind of get rid of some stuff a little bit faster. And then when that's done, you can run right back into the healing. And I really like how that turned out, to be honest with you. I think it's great, that offensive one. Yeah, and see, that's how you can tell with his differences in play styles. So Big Blade was like, yeah, I don't like that at all. And yeah, so and I see what you're saying. You're saying it's okay for glass cannon setups, and I think what it depends on is how you use it. Like if I, there's a tactic that I like to use sometimes with rush bots. If I got more than one of them, and I call it leapfrog. And so what I would do is go get the acid going over there, and then I kind of follow back up with another bot. In this case, even though I don't have them on my live server as a 5 star, it'd probably be like somebody like Headstrong or even one of the fire type ones. Like if they ever bring out like 5 star Rampage, I'd run them together for something like that. So we said there's two of these things. Oh, and I didn't. I guess let's see. I didn't highlight that toxic bullet, and then I probably should have, but I'm gonna move to the other core. All right, so then there's the supply core. Candyman says, "Where's that 5 star Rust Blaster?" I don't know what's going on with this stuff these days, man. I imagine if I had to take a guess. So it's a couple of things, and I need to go back through my series that I've had when I was interviewing Dale, because I think that they're gonna try to bring some of these weapons. And first off, weapons supposed to come out in the batch in the spring, but I honestly think they're gonna try to sell all the weapons in the store first. So I don't know. All right, so then you have this G1 Octone supply ability, and so the healing is going to increase by 17.4%. The bot also regenerates 1% of its own health every 10 seconds. Now, the conversation that Big Blade and I were having was when you compare this core, so that's 17.4. So, well, actually, it's 17.4 every 10 seconds, right? You compare that to, we were comparing the original version to, they had rejuvenate. So rejuvenate had 3% every 5 seconds. So if you're looking at it every 10 seconds, it'll be like about 6. And then we were looking at alchemist, that's going to heal you for 15% of all of the damage that's done. But it's damage based, so it's going to depend on. Granted, you're still going to be doing normal damage. It will depend on you using the ability to use Alchemist, which is why the reason for me personally, in my personal playstyle, not saying that your way is wrong, because it's not. For my personal playstyle, this is why I don't use it on bots like that, because I would rather have them do it strictly from an AOE standpoint, but from a normal damage. So I like to combine this one with like Fireline or um no Fireline because it's constant AoE, so it's constantly hitting them back up and getting them healed. But my primary concern is always survivability, because I'm gonna have the bots that are gonna do the damage. So it depends on what kind of player and what kind of play style you have. So let's try this one. Let's get it in action, because I hadn't played with that one yet. Kristen Jones says, "I wonder how many sort of balances they sold." Man, listen, I $150, and the rest of the stuff was stuff I was like, man, it's just regular stuff in the game. I wouldn't buying that. I'll just wait it out. Granted, I'm probably not going to use that bot anyway, But honestly, at the end of the day, it's just the principle. I do like that this thing is going to do some healing for itself, though, for this supply core for Octone, because it seems to keep him pretty steady. That and the fact that Dirtbag just keeps dropping off his mine in front of everybody. So when the right setups, these things could actually, all of these could actually work really, really well, with the exception of Strax's. This stuff just isn't needed anymore, and it's cool because I mean, it's not cool because I really do like Strax's, and I would love for them to be great again, but they gotta make us want to use walls. But the supply core is pretty legit, man. Like, especially for some of you guys that are doing like the whole no healer thing and triple changes and stuff, and he already does good damage. This could be something worth looking at. But and at first I started off wanting that I started off wanting the toxic, or started off wanting the supply one, and then I really fell in love with the toxic one. I was like, man, this is cool, and I can find different combos I can use. Some of them are gonna be good combos that I'm using already that I could just add this dude to. And I was actually working on them a bit. And what was the last large event? I was working on them doing, well, endurance. I was working on them doing endurance a little bit because the G1 was coming out, and I said it might be good. Yeah, Candyman's not a fan of the multiple G1s. There was, when they first started talking about concepts, Space Ape had one G1. I, somebody in the, I can't remember who it was, but somebody in playtest was like, "Hey man, we should do two." And like honestly, I like it because the reason why I like the multiple G1s is because it allows you to account for playstyle. Some people just want to go use them like just as an additional healing source, and it accommodates those people. Some people just want to use them for an attack, and it accommodates those people. Let's see. Big Blake says, when will the rework votes come out? Is it this month, next, near the end of the saga? Because so far, the only thing Space Ape have been talking about is tournament and UI. Um, I'm not sure. it went from it went from one of those things where they were saying we were going to talk about it the following week, and then didn't hear about it again. But also keep in mind that we aren't going to get one this saga. We aren't going to get a legacy this saga. Um, there's going to be four legacy batches for the entire year, from what Space Ape was saying. Or at least that's the goal, is to have four. So you might see one per quarter, but I don't know when the vote is going to be. So, but to Sunstrike's point, probably once the UI and the tournament, UI and tournament were definitely priorities. One thing I was irritated with the UI change is that I don't think they should have did it during the tournament. I mean, you've been working on this thing since June. You could have waited 2 more weeks or whatever it would be for the tournament to be over. Then that'd be fine. All right, so last thing we want to talk about. So we're not actually testing this yet, so don't take this as the gospel. But Space Ape, I logged into the test account this morning and I noticed something strange. So I went in here to build and I saw this. And I was like, huh, there's another turret there. Now I'm not gonna click on it because earlier when I started clicking on stuff, it broke my account. But I said, hey, I remember a couple of weeks ago, I think it was the last time that I was streaming 2 weeks ago, and Space Ape said that there's going to be an existing defense that they're gonna add another one of in phase 3. And so I woke up this morning and I saw this and I said, oh shit, there's a extra laser turret here. So I started assuming. I said, oh man, they must be get ready to give us phase 3. So then I just started looking around the base, just looking at different stuff. And then I saw this. And I said, huh. Now keep in mind, we haven't even started testing this stuff. They hadn't even announced it to us yet. But I said, this is interesting because I don't know if they're gonna adjust. I would assume they're probably gonna adjust these stats at this point. But I think that'll be way out of control if that's what they did with MDS. But it kind of gives me a starting point of where their head is at. That building health is insane. And I think it's going to cause a lot of people problems if they use those numbers. So we'll see when we actually start testing. The DPS is going to get a good substantial bump. I mean, like, what's that? That's a 25% damage bump if they do that. Yeah, so that's what was looking like. It looks like we're getting ready to go into testing for phase 3. So I saw that, and so that made me curious. I wanted to start looking around at everything. But so I actually upgraded this one. It made my server crash. And then I was playing around with it earlier, and I was like, my key concern here was that I got that maxed out half shell. So that's Roadbuster for you guys on the Autobot side. And it's like, can I still take this out? And so far, like I said, numbers are not, we're not even testing it yet technically, so the numbers ain't really set in stone. But as it stands right now, I can. Now it's kind of like everybody else that doesn't have that bot or similar bots that can kind of, it's going to mess up a lot of combos if they give it, a 3K health bump. So I started looking around at everything else, and I said, just so I could see what to expect. And one of the things I've been looking for since the beginning of HQ 18, and one of the reasons I think I've got 8 skips saved for defense. One of the things I was looking at is for my OR 13. We need more ways to get it. So now it's going to produce faster. Building health is negligible. The maximum harvest is going to increase. I've been waiting for that. And then the how much you can store is going to increase as well. So your maximum storage. And then No Space Ape also said they were gonna make some changes with the mines. I hadn't seen anything with that yet, but I did see the spider mines. Um, just a little bump, modest bump from, and at least that's what they're starting with as a baseline. Like I said, I don't know when we're gonna actually start testing. I imagine it's probably gonna be soon. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And keep in mind that there's still supposed to be a phase 4, and it's supposed to be, supposedly there will be a new defense. Now what I will say is this though, when I look at this number, and I think that there's more power cores that are going to be coming to the game, more prime cores on defense, and they just had a prime core event. What this makes me feel is that, like, I use Liege on the shock tower because I don't want it to be easily taken out. I'm probably gonna, well, actually, I've already moved that on my live server. I don't have it on the shock tower anymore. But what I see is this: I can see where you're gonna have clusters, like a lot of people have already, and then you're gonna have a combination, like, so there's gonna be an Onyx core that's gonna come out at some point. Now, the Onyx core that we tested originally was very, very, very strong. It was a little bit too strong for that particular time period. But I do think that they could realistically release that same Onyx core again, and then people will start sticking it on the MDS. And they'll start sticking it on the MDS knowing that it has that kind of health. Because for the longest time, Shock Towers had the most health. So, and then you're gonna start setting little sneaky traps to go with that Onyx core. I can totally see that happening. People can move their Megatronus over to the shock tower, which I like, but I don't like because because the Megatronus core is one of those cores that is gonna do this DPS increase is gonna be um, based on the damage for whatever it's equipped to. And so obviously the shock towers have a lot less DPS, but we'll see how it goes. But I can see that, and I can see people going to start. I think I can see people doing an Onyx and a Vector on their MDS so that they can't be one shot, even when you do have, uh, even when you do have Half Shell and Roadbuster, because people are going to start wanting to use them more in their teams. People are already using them, but more people are going to start using them when they realize that the MDS has a huge bump. So I think that's what's going to happen. I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. But I do think that they need to start putting little sneaky ways in there to kind of nullify, not nullify, but kind of make them not not just one shot kill like everything with Roadbuster and Half Shell. And I use them on my war team, so we'll see. But all right, everyone. I am going to go ahead and call it a night. I'm going to try to make some more content. Like it won't be. I'm gonna try to make some more on Saturday because I won't be here Sunday, but I'll definitely be here next week for the live stream. So I look forward to seeing all you guys then, and I look forward to seeing you on the battlefield. Freezius out.